Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Deconversion Stories, as Mikey's banging away there. Today's guest, we have Mr. Tim. It's Pieper, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a good thing they didn't name you Tom. Already off to a bad joke. All right, here we go. But anyways, Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And I love the little avatar that you're using there. That's a tool thing there, guys, just so you know. And we were just listening to another band that Maynard's in called Perfect Circle, doing their version of Imagine, which is done in minor chords instead of major chords. It's very, very cool. I highly recommend you check it out. Anyways, Tim, what I do here is I chat with people about their journeys away from whatever belief systems they were once a part of. And I generally like to have folks kind of start at the beginning, back in the days of indoctrination, and now you found your way out of there.
All right. Well, when I was really, really young, I was taken to, I only went to really one church, but I don't really know if the denomination had anything to do with it. I wasn't hellfire, it wasn't anti-LGBT, but my mom was pretty liberal in her theology. I don't know about my dad's because I didn't really pay attention to how much it differed from other Christians. I just knew mine. Okay. So when I was really young, I was baptized in the church about 6 or 7. And they had explained the whole, the meaning and significance behind it. And my mom recently told me, which I'd forgotten, that apparently I had said, I feel clean after I came out of the water, which I guess I would. Because they told me it was washing my sins away, but I guess I would have said anything.
I feel wet.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel moist. I know how many people love that word, moist.
Yeah. But growing up in elementary and middle school, I think it's important to say that I had some delusions of grandeur that I think were a bit of a byproduct of the ways that religion taught me to think about how to interpret signs from God and how to know God. Right. That way of thinking opened itself up to unintended consequences, and so I had my own personal weird beliefs about other beings being like around me, and not necessarily demons, but like the equivalent of demons, I guess.
So nobody like me then. So no.
No. But I had weird ideas, and I think that may have been because I was a bit socially awkward, and so I have autism, so it had more of a impact on my social life when I was much younger. It definitely showed more. But because of that, I think I compensated by having these sorts of fantasies about being against these evil beings, which makes sense, I guess. But from an anthropological standpoint, how you'd make up stories about how you're the main character, and you're to get right with yourself. But I generally thought God was my father figure and my friend. That's the way I saw him. And I didn't have any views on how he thought about sin or anything. I generally believed in Jesus, but I think I more believed in God than I did that it was necessarily the Christian God.
Okay.
And
that's like a deistic approach almost.
More so, yes. In fact, when I was in high school, took a little bit of a social studies class, and the teacher said, I'll tell you what I am after class if you really want to know. And so I asked her, and she said, I'm a deist, and she explained the position. I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. It made more sense than what I was believing anyway. But yeah, I didn't really read the Bible. I wasn't really heavily into Christianity, although I would have called myself a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that label fits anyone that believes in Christ.
Yeah, and I did believe that. It's just if you had held my feet to the fire, I would have held it at less certainty than the general belief that I was experiencing the love of God, because I had personal experience, of feeling that feeling that love. So that's generally where I started off from an earlier age, in middle school, going into high school. And going into high school, I actually got more friends and more social clout and became more popular.
Cool.
And with that, I was able to see through some of the more personal delusions of grandeur, and those beings started to feel more and more like an invention in my head, because I didn't really need that to feel like an important person in my own life, because people were around me were cool and they liked me and they thought I was cool. And so
Right.
life had its own good narrative, at that point. I didn't need another one. But I still had belief in God, because that just seemed like more of a fact than the invention I made on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Invention you made on your own. What does that mean exactly?
Well, the belief in those other beings, that was never taught to me. That was
I see.
something that was something I made up. I mean, over time, and I didn't realize I was making it up. It felt more like it's the same thinking process. Like you think you're interacting with the divine, and then you interact with other things that give you a negative feeling as opposed to a positive one, and that way of thinking, I don't know, opened itself up to me inventing entirely unchristian ideas about, like, just my own weird ideas about beings being around us, and me fighting them, I suppose. It's a little embarrassing, but that's what I thought when I was a little bit younger.
Interesting.
Yeah. But they did serve as a good comparison for later in my story, when I was told, well, you have the personal experience of God. Well, I thought I had the personal experience of these entirely made up beings at the time, so that eventually helped me see through that argument, at the very least, that reasoning of personal experience, but not yet. So up until about senior year, what?
Oh, you're there. Okay, it's just you kind of ended suddenly. And
oh no, yeah, no, I'm here. Yeah. So generally speaking, I was pretty self-aware. I thought my beliefs were personal. I didn't think I could prove them to anyone. I wasn't into apologetics or anything like that.
right.
If someone asked me why I believed what I believe, I would have to say, because I do. I don't know. Because I think I've experienced God. That's probably the best answer I could have given. And when it came to humor, especially irreverent humor about God, I was all for it. I mean, it didn't seem like a threat to me. For example, when I saw what's it called? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like the first few jokes of what God got wrong, more mistakes God made, and who the hell is this God person anyway? That joke at the beginning of that movie, that made me laugh. And I actually, when I was about in middle school or young, or possibly younger, I thought that was funny, and I went to church. And there was, and I wanted to share it with one of the chaperones, or one of the adults, because I thought it was funny.
No.
And she just kind of smiled like hollowly, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. She didn't shame me or anything, but she didn't laugh. And she did, or I told my mom that I said that joke, and she got upset with me. She said, oh, how could you say that joke, and even in the house of God? And my thought process was like, well, if God doesn't have a sense of humor, how can we really be made in his image? I mean, we find these things funny. Why can't he? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't as defensive, I suppose, of my faith.
Right.
I could see the humor and other people's perspectives from an outsider's perspective. And I think that helped me later see through it.
Oh yeah, I'm for sure it would have. I mean, the way they describe this God character, having all these omni qualities. Apparently he's not omni funny bone.
Yeah.
He can't take a joke about himself, right?
He doesn't have the maximal sense of humor.
Yeah,
like he has
maximal,
maximal
yeah.
greatness.
Yeah, that's like, why don't you guys just say omni? Like, seriously.
We don't know what that word is, so we
Well,
can't.
the thing is, well, they used to use it. William Mike Craig used to use it, right? He used to use it. Then he changed it to maximally, right? He's maximally powerful. So does that mean that there's possibility that there could be another God that's more powerful? Well, no, because he's maximally. Yeah, but that's not ultimately. So,
yeah.
So my God's more powerful than yours.
My guy could beat up
smoke. Yeah.
My guy could beat up your guy.
And you got the shirt, I see.
Yeah, I see.
Fucking Mikey.
I'm so happy right now.
I see it. It shows on your shirt.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Floating head over a smile.
Oh, it's 10 times creepier than it's 10 times creepier than I thought it was, and I love it. It's so much worse than in my head. Oh.
All right. Well, so Tim,
yes.
Were there any specific moments where you kind of had like an epiphany or something that started leading you away from a belief?
Yeah. It started in high school, where I was actually consciously thinking about my faith in a more critical light.
Very good.
I met a girl, and I got a crush on her.
Uh-oh.
Often the things that spur us to look at the rationale of an argument aren't necessarily themselves rational, but she happened to be an atheist, and I thought, oh, that's cool. And so I started thinking about how my faith looked from her perspective.
Yeah, okay.
And she didn't have to say anything. She literally just had to be an atheist and be attractive, and it affected me.
I feel, Mikey, we need to get that soundboard, because every time I hear somebody say, and I met a girl, we need that dun dun dun. We need that to come in right after.
Yeah.
My only weakness.
So yeah, a bit of the Pine Creek theorem going the other way. So she introduced me to Tool, the band, and we shared a lot of taste in music, so that was something we kind of connected on. Right on. And one of the alternate bands that she also introduced me to, of course, was Perfect Circle. And I just was listening to their music one day, and I started their album, whatever it was, but Emotive. There you go.
Yeah.
I played it downstairs late one night on the speakers in the living room, and I remember it after the first two lines. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. I had a fight or flight response because I took those lines seriously, and I actually imagined it. And what I realized was I was just imagining reality minus the part I imagine is there. So it didn't feel like I was imagining anything. It just felt like I was picturing what I knew about the world. The things I'd already categorized are real, minus something that I'd never seen before. And that didn't feel like imagining anything. It's like, imagine a tree without elephants on it. Well, you're just picturing a tree. So yeah.
I mean, the only examples really of heaven I think we'd ever seen are people's idea of what heaven is, and they draw a painting. They paint a painting or draw a picture or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The DMV with no line.
So that affected me a lot. It was like one of those waking up in the Matrix kind of feelings. Like, I looked at my hands and then I stared at my sister. She happened to be in the room. Exactly. Yeah. And I had wide eyes, so she was kind of reciprocating that. Like, she could see the music was affecting me. And I listened to the rest of the song, and the lines that I hope someday you'll join us. Like, I'm not the only one. That comforted me while I was panicking. You know, this isn't a new idea. There obviously have been other people who've imagined no heaven, but
Oh yeah.
I got the idea that this was something I needed to try on, an idea I needed to try on. And so the next day, I woke up and everything was beautiful. It
Huh.
felt like a light bulb had been switched on, and I started thinking about human accomplishment and biological organisms and the vastness of the universe, and all from the perspective of it's not intended. It's just there. Not necessarily an accident, but just there. And it felt harrowing. It felt exciting. And and I pulled my friend aside, one of my best friends, and I said, "Dude, I'm thinking about, like, what if there's no God?" And he was like okay with it. You know, he wasn't like gonna judge me or anything. He had been an
Was he a
ex-Mormon.
believer?
He was an ex-Mormon. So
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know if he
Yikes.
necessarily believed at the time, but he never gave off the vibe that he did.
Okay.
But yeah, no, and I started telling him, like, "Dude, everything is amazing." And he was riding my high. He was like, "Yeah, dude, everything is amazing." But I lived that day
It's even better with
with
bacon. Just FYI.
yeah. I
That's why I
lived
wear
that
the
day.
shirt.
Yes, yes. So I was living that day with fervor. And I came down off the high, and I thanked the person who I got a crush on for opening me up to this idea by introducing me to this band and being herself. But
I gotta ask him, did anything ever happen?
Right.
nah. We're friends though. We're friends.
Okay.
But nothing
You
happened.
got friend zoned, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah. Over
It
time.
happens. It happens.
Yeah.
I've been there.
But it was
there.
fine. Yeah, we're chill.
And it is fine to have female friends.
I used to have a shirt that said Mr. Friend Zoned.
Mm-hmm. What else? After I came off the high, I started thinking about, okay, I can't just abandon God because I had one good day, thinking, what if he wasn't there?
Yes, you can.
Of
Not like
course,
he's gonna complain.
of course, I could have, but in all fairness, that was one day of trying the idea on. I wasn't necessarily convinced that was the right way to look at the world, you know?
Sure.
So after some time faded and the high dropped off, I started thinking, okay, well, I don't want to walk away from something I've spent so much time believing. And so from then on, I felt like I was wavering back and forth. I was kind of agnostic, like how agnostics think of themselves agnostic, like actually on the border between the two, you know, like feeling one day like, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily all self-identified agnostics, but what I mean is, like, I felt on the fence
version. You kind
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
because you can't really know for sure, and you can't really know if not for sure, like
Yeah. And I felt like some days I was giving it more credence. I was more of a believer, and other days I was like, yeah, but how do I know? And I just and
fucking
that
Lilith.
once that idea was in there, it wasn't coming out.
Right.
But my progress doesn't really go anywhere until I get to college the next year.
The old college entry.
Well, it was actually a Baptist college, is Baylor University.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that backfired, didn't it?
Yeah. And I wasn't completely out the door yet, like, so I wasn't adverse to going. My mom and her side of the family had all gone to Baylor, had a good film program. I'm a film student, so.
Oh, I was too for a while.
Yeah.
Vancouver Film School. Yeah.
So luckily, what I was learning had nothing to do with the baptism of the school. So I just went in and
Wait, somebody sprayed the school down with water?
yeah, no. The denomination.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought if there's a place where a number of people should know how there are good reasons to believe, it should be a bunch of Christians coming to a educational, system for them,
Mhm.
if there's a place on earth that has an argument that makes sense to me, that'll be one place.
Sure, yeah.
So I went and I joined their men's choir. I hung out with other art students in the art dorm where I stayed for the first 2 years.
A lot of weed smoking going on in there?
No, not really. Not from what I could
Oh.
tell.
Well,
There might have been a
what's
couple. There might have been some. Like I wouldn't say the arts department was super hoity-toity. They were pretty chill.
Well, it's like that at my film school.
Yeah.
The breaks were all out there blazing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that first year is probably the majority of my transition. So early on, I was just making friends, talking to people, asking them,
Always good.
about their lives, about their backgrounds, all that jazz. And at some point, I'm just curious what people think about the God question. What do these Christians think? And I get a lot of the same. I've had personal experience, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they weren't feeling like threatened by me. I'd built enough rapport, and I was coming from a position of like, I don't know, man. You could tell me, and I might believe you. So they had their guards down. They were just telling me what they believed and why.
So what, like the epistemological approach?
Yeah, basically, except I didn't realize I was doing that. I was just sort of curious,
Or
I was
AKA, and a better term, the Socratic method.
Yeah. No one really brought up apologetics to me at that point, which was fine. But eventually, I was sitting down with a group of people in the dorm's living area, and a couple of people who I'd known come up to the group and say, "Hey, we were just wondering, do any of you want to come to the Atheist and Agnostic Club?" And I got super excited. I was like, "Yes." And everyone else kind of looked down and like, away, like, "Nah, we're good." But I wanted to hear what they had to say. I was very excited to hear like what people who had already thought through the position would say.
Mhm.
And that first meeting, I learned a lot.
What kind of things were discussed?
Well, a lot of the time they were just talking about what I'm not going to remember everything because it was so long ago.
Yeah,
but
no, that's fine.
yeah, but
What highlights that stood out to you?
the things that I remember making a lot of sense were the explanation of how early humans would come up with ideas about God, like from an evolutionary perspective, how it's beneficial to think there's a predator where there isn't one. And so that would naturally produce thought patterns that make you think agents are behind literally everything that doesn't have an agent behind it.
Survival mechanism.
Yeah. If you don't know what's going on, it makes sense to just say, well, someone's making it happen in the absence of modern scientific knowledge.
Right. Exactly.
And so that blew my mind because I'd never really thought about it that way. And so now I had this natural explanation for where the belief even comes from. It made too much sense. And then they had introduced me to, they'd pointed me out to the Atheist Experience call-in show.
Uh-oh.
And so I started watching people call in and not be ready for that.
Did you ever call them?
No, I didn't. I was fine just watching YouTube clips of people calling in, and after 10 or so, I started seeing a pattern. And
Did
so
Did you go through in your head, like, because I had a similar experience where I was just like, man, they're just really getting some bad callers. That's all it is. Like, it's just the wrong people are calling.
Yeah, it's like,
I'll watch a few more, but those are probably just really bad callers.
yeah, no, I had hopes. You know, you get a call-in show and you get some people who think they're ready and they're not, you know, and so they call in. Like that makes sense, right? That should happen a number of times. If
he's probably nervous, that's all.
Yeah,
you could pray for better callers.
Yeah,
I don't know how well that'll work. But...
probably didn't think that was how prayer worked at the time, especially since I was wavering.
Nudge, wake, it doesn't.
Yeah. But yeah, that was affecting. And so I was learning about apologetics from watching them be brought up in those circumstances, you know, on the atheist experience, not from my friends or from anyone who would talk to me about them. And finally, there was just enough days in a row where I was saying to myself, okay, none of these people are coming up with a good reason. And so that means that I either need a direct revelation from God, or God doesn't want me or care to know that he exists, or he doesn't exist. Those are the three possibilities I see before me. And so I start thinking, okay, well, the only way I know how to get a revelation, if that's even possible, is to ask for one. Mm-hmm. But I already know, because I've heard other people tell their stories on the atheist experience, their revelations or their signs. I've seen how spurious their connections are, you know, their coincidences. Mm-hmm. And I say to myself, okay, well, that's not going to work on me. I'm going to be open to a revelation, but I can't be looking for one where there isn't one. I can't just say, oh, these two things happen close together. Better be.
Or placing a label on something that may or may not be,
right. Right. It's tough. How do you tell a real one from just an event?
Well, you reflect on what we know to be real, what the underlying laws of physics say about day-to-day things. And if it's not possible due to those laws, then the likelihood of it being something miraculous or godly, I guess, or whatever. There's another word, I just can't remember it. Then the likelihood is it's probably just up here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I just started praying, you know, every day, seeing what would happen. Mm-hmm. But as that waned on, that was a long time. And I kept saying to myself, the final straw that would not go away was my personal experience. That was the last thing. That was the last bastion of my belief. But I even knew the answer to that one because I'd listened to the atheist experience. I knew that the experience could be explained as upbringing, association. You're giving the explanation for the feeling.
External influences, all kinds of things, man.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trained to think that something akin to what you experiences you had are something that would be evidence, right? But
right.
Neuroscience says otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And so I got together with a couple of my believing friends at Baylor, and they prayed for me. We prayed in a circle, and I felt something while we prayed.
Was it a perfect circle? I just had to.
Yeah.
Full circle.
How long you been sitting on that one, Neil? Huh? About 10, 15?
2 seconds.
He's like, and then a circle's going to be brought up, and then boom, I got him.
I'm a sharp thinker, buddy. Sharp like a marble. I mean.
Are marbles infinitely sharp?
I don't know, but I think you're losing yours.
I need to go smoke some more weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had the prayer and I felt something, and then I tell my friend, look, I felt something. I'm going to be honest with you. I felt something during that prayer. And she says, see? And I go, Yeah, but like, how do I know that's not because I'm in a prayer with other people? There's clearly an emotive way that the prayer was spoken. That may have had something to do with it. Like if it was said monotone, would I have felt anything? That kind of thing. Or if I hadn't
Right.
been brought up to think that prayer is communing with someone who I've been taught to feel loving from, would that have not influenced me? You know? And she says, "Well, you're being too skeptical." And that pushed me a little bit further to atheism. So,
What is too skeptical? Well, I guess
yeah.
you can be too skeptical, I suppose.
Yeah, you
You're
can be.
skeptical yourself into a world of solipsism.
That's true. Yeah.
What the? What is my AGV fucking going off right now? Like, fuck off. Apparently, I have some advanced issues. Whatever. It just did a smart scan. I guess I programmed it, or
Mm.
I don't know. It's never done it before, so I'm not sure.
Does not compute. Does
It's
not
fucking.
compute.
It's God. He's trying to interrupt. He's like, I'll show you. Let's just automatically, spontaneously start your AVG.
I can't let you do that, Neil.
Okay, Hal.
Yeah.
What's this? Joseph Blue says he has nipples, though. God, does he have a belly button? And why do Adam and Eve have belly buttons?
I think they're talking about this.
Oh, whoops. Oh. We had. And okay, I totally didn't make that connection. Well, folks, it's been fun. I'll see you guys later.
That's why I hate reading the chat, because if you miss one thing, then you're off, and then everyone laughs at you, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Totally. I tried not to pay too much attention, for the interview, but there are sometimes I'll glance them and see if there's something relevant I can post, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah, stop distracting us, chat. You guys should be asking questions, not making jokes about my nipples. Weirdos.
or your
Yeah.
floating head.
So I was coming to the end of the line there for a while. It was tapering off, and I felt less and less like a believer, back and forth, less and less. Still agnostic, but now in the sense of I don't know, therefore I shouldn't believe kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so I eventually I remember the last moment that I felt like a believer. And I did it for cathartic reasons, not for any rational reason. It was, in a sense, saying goodbye,
Right.
because for so long I'd thought of God as a friend that I could always talk to.
Sure.
And losing that belief in some ways felt like losing a friend you can't say goodbye to, because the moment you've lost them, there's no one to say goodbye to.
Right.
And so one day I was going on a little bit of a retreat with the men's choir. We were having our own personal church service for ourselves, singing songs and hymns together.
Mhm.
And I was sitting out in the pews, and I allowed myself to feel that catharsis of communal worship one more time,
Mhm.
in a genuine sort of way. But it was
Right.
kind of a cognitive dissonance, because I knew I was doing it for the last time. And so
Okay.
I said goodbye to Jesus, but more so to God in general. And
Did you drop kick him out the door?
yeah, well, it felt somber, it felt like I was
Oh, for sure.
losing something. But in the end,
You were.
I was.
You were losing something,
But
but it's okay.
yeah,
After losing it, you kind of go, I should have lost that a long time ago.
after a while, yeah, I definitely got that attitude more so now. At the time, it felt mixed feelings, but now I'm glad. I'm glad it's gone. So I'm able to see the world a little bit more clearly now.
Oh no. Oh Tim. Oh shit! You just put a song in my head.
Oh yeah, what song would that be? Oh yeah. I could have called that if I thought about it for 2 seconds.
I can see all the obstacles in my way.
In my head, I was like,
Jesus
bum, 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 bum,
Yeah.
bum.
Yeah, but that was my journey to atheism, at least as a self-affirming feeling, like I had done my due diligence. I'd looked at the other side. I'd listened to people in my own life. What can they
You
say?
were on the other side too, right? Even though
Yeah, I
you
was
may
on the
have
other
not
side
have
for
been-
like 18 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What kind of reaction did people in your immediate circles have about all this?
I remember the meeting I told you about where I went to the atheist group.
Mhm.
It made so much sense to me that I got overexcited
Uh-oh.
and called my mom to tell
Mom,
her.
guess what? We don't have to believe in Jesus anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
What?
I hadn't even like fully deconverted at that point, but I still felt so wavering that I told her, "Hey, I went to this group and they were making a lot of sense."
Mhm.
And I knew it wouldn't be good news to her, but I didn't really think through how to put it.
Right.
I was just excited. I was happy, but she started crying and
Oh.
asked me, what. I forget exactly what she said, but it was kind of incredulous, like what happened, what changed. And I said, I started doubting, and I couldn't stop. It was an idea,
Mhm.
that changed my mind. And every now and then we had talked about it from then on. She offered me a couple of books by different apologists, but by that time I had already heard of the Case for Christ, watched a bit of Steve Shives' An Atheist Reads on that series, and a couple other books that she recommended. And so I already knew what they had to say for the most part. I remember I wasn't too good about expressing myself to her because it was a bit emotional at the time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I was feeling some of that betrayal. I knew consciously that no most religious parents don't willingly or maliciously lie to their kids or anything like that. It's not a deception kind of thing. It's
Right,
just,
exactly.
yeah. But that didn't stop me from feeling like there wasn't some responsibility to educate me in something that was true. And that responsibility wasn't followed through in this one very important case. And so I was feeling some kind of way about that. But I couldn't really blame my mom either, because if I had believed long enough to have kids and then passed it on to them, I would have done the same thing. So
right. Do you feel like there was like a big chunk of stuff that you kind of missed out for? Like usually for like the ladies, it's always like the purity culture thing where they were like forced to change this about themselves or forced to change that about themselves because that's what their church made them do. Oh, have to wear a skirt all the way down to underneath the bottom of your combat boots. Like it was always some like, and then they're just like, no, leggings are great. I love wearing pants. They're fantastic. Was there anything like
You're
that?
showing ankle. That's porn.
Right. You know, of all the categories of porn I've looked up, it's never been ankle porn. Well, I got to go. I got something to do real quick.
Yeah, I don't think anything was off limits for religious reasons. I don't think I had anything that was barred from me, including humor, which I felt like.
What about George Carlin?
Oh, George Carlin was fine. I mean, my mom thinks he's funny. Like we're
Really? Okay.
yeah. No, she's for a Christian, she's cool, you know. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean she's like,
no, I know you. I know. She's your
Yeah.
mom. Of course she is.
yeah,
She's chill.
yeah, she is chill.
For
Yeah.
a Christian.
Yeah. Emphasis. Nah. And
Oh,
so
hug and kiss is here, or otherwise
because-
known as ox.
no,
Hug and kiss. Never mind.
no, because she was cool, I was able to be more self-aware as a Christian, and therefore more self-aware in my thought process when I was leaving it. And it hurt me at one point because she had said that she felt like she failed as a parent at one point.
Wow.
Not like to raise me as a person, but to give me the love of Christ and to pass that on to me. You know, she felt like she hadn't given me a proper basis in the Christian faith.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so she didn't say it like that. She said it more like in this one area she failed hard, and therefore, in her mind, there was a major failure.
How did you? Excuse me. Sorry. How did you address her on that?
I was emotional at the time, so I probably could have worded it better. But I essentially said that I'm glad she didn't. You know, because if I had been more into it, I don't know if I would have made my way out.
Right.
You know, and I'm sure she wasn't happy to hear that, but that was what I thought, you know, and that was what I was feeling.
Right.
And I wanted her to know that she had done well on every other thing. I mean, this one area may have been very important to her, but she didn't fail as a parent, like in totality. She raised me well. I think I have a great mom. And so I wanted her to know that, but it's hard for me to express that when I'm upset and the situation is tense, you know.
Yeah.
But she knows that. She knows that now, of course, and we have a great relationship. I'd say we haven't talked about religion in over a couple of years, but as time went on, we were able to talk about it occasionally, and without it being volatile or emotional, we were able to at least see where the other person was coming from, and that's mostly what I wanted, you know.
Right.
I get that.
That's
My mom's kind of the same way, where she's kind of in this weird denial stage where she'll just like, I'm like, well, you know, Mom, I'm an atheist, so that really doesn't bother me. She's like, no, don't say that. Don't say that. I'm like, it's okay.
Too late.
It's okay. Your God can't hear me. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Do you think your relationship with your mom is strained because of this, or?
No. There were some times where she said weird things, but it was early on after I had come
Moms
out to
do
her.
that though.
Yeah, no, yeah, but over time, any possible straining was gone. And it wasn't even that bad.
Right.
I've had it way better than so many people.
Yeah, I've heard
came
some
out.
pretty fucking huge horror stories.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But she told all of her brothers. I didn't tell anyone else in my family. My mom told my uncles, and then presumably they told whoever they told. And so I assume most of my family knows without me having any say in how I came out to them, you know.
Right.
Do you have any strained relationships at all with the family, or are most of them looks like a you do you kind of thing?
Yeah, no visible strains. I'm unaware that I've been cut off from anyone if I have been. There's always the thought in the back of my mind, would I have been able to hang out with this cousin or that cousin more if they didn't know? Would they have invited me over? I don't know, but maybe they're just busy and I'm busy too. So
Possible, yeah.
yeah, but overall, no strain. I did talk with my uncle and aunt a short time a few months after I had come out, and I just wanted to have a bit of the conversation with them. And my aunt said something like, "Well, you know, nobody knows, nobody's right." And I was like, "Well, somebody's got to be right."
Wow.
Somebody's got to, you know.
Well, kudos to her on the nobody knows part, but the nobody's right part.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know if she thought that through,
Not
but
quite.
yeah.
Holy shit, 3 of them in a row. It's Ollie, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, calm down, Ollie. I didn't have a Coke over here. I was like,
It's not Ollie, it was YouTube notifications.
Yeah. That I was so bad at expressing my reasoning that if I had a do-over, I would have come out much later after I had gotten all my thoughts together and consumed a lot more atheist YouTube content, because that's helped me refine my thoughts, like theoretical bullshit, and especially Apologia and others have helped me refine what I would say to be as persuasive as possible, you know.
Yeah, Apology is a good channel.
Yeah.
He's a good guy too. I know him. So, it was Ollie.
See,
3rd time lucky. He puts, yeah. I take full responsibility. Well, that's a first.
who are you and where's the real Ollie?
Yeah.
I think I bugged my sister, because when you come out or when you deconvert, sometimes there's this period where you just want to talk about it with someone, and no one else in my family or my immediate area when I was at home would talk about it with me, obviously. And she didn't call herself an atheist, but as I told her my new views, she was like, "Yeah, well, when I was younger, I thought it doesn't make a lot of sense." And I asked her, what could she elaborate? What did she mean? She said something like, when she was younger, she thought, "Why do we have 5 fingers? Why not 6?" And that seems like a weird thought, but she was younger. Like, what's going on? And she didn't take it on authority, I guess, from the pulpit, like this was true. And so I guess she'd been mostly a very lapsed / non-committal, or even non-believing, you know, tick the box, I'm a Christian supposedly, you know, person. But I could talk to her about it, because she wasn't a believer, and she didn't seem to have a deconversion process to speak of. But I talked to her too much about it. I talked her ear off, and so she finally got sick of it, and she told me, "Look, I don't want to talk about this anymore." And I stopped, but there was a time where I was annoying because I didn't have anyone else to talk to, and it was bottled up.
Right.
And there are online places for that. Like there are forums I could go to, but I just didn't look them up or access them at the time.
Kind of offloaded some of that on her. She's like, excuse me, this is supposed to be a couple sentences and then we're moving on.
All right. A little tip chat for you there, Mikey.
Yeah.
$1 for each nipple.
That's all I'm worth to you guys. $1 nipple. I'll take it. That's a big increase from last year.
You should probably let Ox know you actually have a superfluous nipple, so he owes you another $1.
Oh, lucky.
It was a little bit late. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, just going to address the 5 fingers issue. The ancestor of every single tetrapod had 5 digits on each of its limbs. Mm-hmm. That's why everything in the whole animal kingdom, except for birds and shit like that, the tetrapods and stuff like that, mammals mostly, all have 5 digits of some kind on their limbs.
Right.
So tell your sister that. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's all because of evolution.
Evolution.
Basically, we have 5 digits because our ancestors did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the things that comforted me after I'd come out was one of my best friends had independently found his way out, and he was far more the conservative Christian than I ever was. He
yeah.
he wore a cross necklace in high school. He didn't talk about it, but it was there, and I know his family is super religious. But
what would Christians wear if Jesus was like quartered or guillotined? Or even if if it was possible, then what if it was the electric chair? Would they be wearing little electric chairs around their neck?
They'd have a lightning bolt.
Oh. Then they'd all be the Flash.
Flash mob.
Yeah. Sorry, Tim, carry on.
No, yeah. And I called him and I told him where I was coming from. I was a little bit hesitant to because I didn't know how he would react, and he said, "Yeah, me too, man."
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And he told me. I asked him immediately, like, "What was it? What happened?" And he said it was mainly reading the Bible. Like he was reading the Bible and it was falling apart. Like he felt like something precious to him was unraveling as he was reading. And by the end of it, it was so unrecognizable that he dropped it. So,
in response to my earlier argument about what they might be wearing, I get that quite a bit, actually, wearing a little fish. That's kind of cruel, don't you think? That's kind of cruel. Make the fish die just so it can hang around your neck.
Live fish.
What the hell, man?
You have to buy a lot of goldfish.
Are there any other questions you typically ask?
No, I basically ask questions as the conversation goes along, because like you might say something that I might need more clarification on, that kind of thing.
Sure.
I don't script anything. I like these conversations to be organic, so and not the kind of organic you get at a grocery store. That's a scam. But anyways,
hey, it tastes better.
I beg to differ.
All right, it's cooking time. To the kitchen.
Yes, B. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
there we go. Yeah, you suck, B.
Oh, way to go, B.
B. Beck. His name's not Beck, Ollyman.
I think he's been using Beck lately.
No, Ollie, I'm not going to ask him if he plays disc golf. Ollie's a very big disc golf fan. So,
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I mean, is there anything you want to add to top off the story? Because we've still got a few minutes left before we go.
I have a question.
Sure.
Oh, he's got a question.
I got a question. Did you experiment in any other religions for like a brief period? Like, did you try like Buddhism, or like, oh, let me read the Quran, or let me try, like, did you like try something else? Like once the Christianity domino started going down?
I don't know if it counts, but I got into the Satanic Bible a little bit, and I started looking at some of the tenets they had. And I identified as a Satanist for a little bit. I wouldn't say that
they're not really religious, though. They don't even consider themselves a religion.
If that even counts,
farce kind of thing. It's a spook to counter religion, right?
Yeah. I didn't identify with it in the same way that I identified with Christianity. There was no additional thing to believe in aside from the best interpretation of any of their tenets. You know, that was all I could. That was all I wanted to do. You know, but that only lasted for like 3 months or so. After that, I was like, okay, you know, I'm done being. I guess I kind of identified with it in a sort of a rebellious way. But after that, I didn't see the need. I was already rebelling enough.
Very good.
Yeah. I didn't become, I guess, supposedly more anti the things that religion does, like it in general. When you weigh them out, I didn't see that as more of a net negative until a sophomore year. And that was partly because I was consuming more opinions on that from online people, but I also had discovered the Scathing Atheist, and a lot of their rhetoric lit a flame in me and made me feel like there was not something just to be disagreeing with. There was something worth disagreeing with publicly there, you know. I don't know, but it was my sophomore year. I met some cool people. I don't know. That's basically all I wanted to say.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, what do you say we get out of here and get into an after party?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Down for that? You've been in one before, so you know what to expect. You can meet all the crazy wackos that show up into my after party. That's right, Ollie. I'm talking about you.
Yeah, we're looking right at you, Ollie, man.
To answer the question about the name of the band, the song Imagine, as Hellbound first put, it's originally by John Lennon, which we all know. A Perfect Circle redid it in minor keys rather than major keys, and it's a very haunting, cool version of Imagine. If you haven't heard it, I recommend you do. And the band name got Maynard from Tool, the lead singer of Tool, who's in this band, A Perfect Circle, they're called. So, yeah, and B, I had no idea you chose the name Beck. That's news to me. So, wait, why are you laughing, Mikey? Oh, coming to you from a hotel bathroom.
Shut up! Leave me alone. I hate all of you.
Yes, and Stan pointed out that there's two different camps: Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple. Oh Jesus! I don't, Mike. No, get that out. You are not my junk. So, the Church of Satan is the more religious side, and Satanic Temple is the sort of spoofy one.
Yeah, politically active. Yeah.
And then there's the Luciferians. They're the ones that you really have to watch out for. They're probably the worst of the bunch.
How so?
They're the ones that will fucking steal your cat and then crucify it on your front lawn.
Oh.
Yeah, and burn it. Oh yeah, it's happened.
Wow.
I know it's anecdotal, just me saying it, but it happened. It's happened multiple times here in the UBC endowment lands and over in Vancouver Island. So
wow,
we had a large Luciferian group here that they were brutal. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Anyways,
leave the cats alone, people.
Yeah, no kidding.
Didn't y'all see that documentary?
It wasn't just cats. It was they'd steal fucking animals from people's farms, all kinds of shit. Anyway, all right. So yeah, one more coins for you guys before we close out the show. We're going to get ourselves into an after party. If you're interested in joining Tim and Mikey and myself for the after party, please let Mikey know via one of the platforms that you are able to message him on, or if not, you can message me, Twitter, Facebook, yada yada. Even my email, which is down below. You can send me a link there, or send me a request there for a link, and I'll get you one so you can come on the after party and hang out with us for a little while. Thank you, Satan's Little Helper, for the $5 super sticker. That was awesome. Thank you very much. I'm glad you were able to make a live stream. It's good to have you here. So yeah, other than that, Tim, man, great having you on. Are you sure you didn't rehearse this? Because
no, not at all.
Very organized.
Yeah.
Well, I've told this story, a few times. People are curious, and so
sure, absolutely.
Yeah. But thanks for having me.
I think you told me you're on Doug's stream, right? The Pine Creek one?
On Doug's stream?
On the Pine Creeks.
Well, I've never been on his stream. No.
Oh, okay. I thought you had. It could have been somebody else that mentioned it, and I'm just confusing you.
Oh.
I'm always confused. That's the state I live in. State of confusion. Actually, I live in Canada, so it's not a state; it's a province. It's a province of confusion. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to make that joke, but I thought it was too bad. I'm glad you went there first.
I always do the bad one. But yeah, guys, that about wraps this one up. A few reminders there. First of all, thanks to everyone in the chat for hanging out with us. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. If you're over on Twitch or Twitter or even here on YouTube, which seems to be the majority of folks. My patrons, you guys are awesome. Thanks to you guys. I'm able to keep this boat afloat, so you guys are the real reason why I'm able to do this, and thank you all for what you do. I very much appreciate it. If you are interested in helping the show out and becoming a patron, so I can, say all these niceties to you as well, there are links below of different ways you can help out the show. If you don't want to become a patron, you just want to do a one-time donation, there's also a PayPal me, and there's really expensive Lego sets on my Amazon wish list if you want to get some.
So
it's my birthday in October next year. Anyway,
so we can get you some more Star Wart.
Some more Star Wart. I remedied that thing today, by the way, folks.
You got to save for the after show.
Oh, all right. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
By the way, episode 4 of Boba Fett was awesome. Mikey, we're going to redo some outros for these so we can put all of that shit in the outros. But don't forget about True North Talk, the nonprofits, and Atheist Drinking Out Loud every last Saturday of every month, guys. And that's about it. So we're going to do the after party. Please let us know if you want to get involved. And until then, like I always say at the end of these interviews, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.